The Enneagram is more than a trendy test. It's a powerful tool that can help you grow, strengthen, and develop your personality. Hey, this is Evan from EnneagramGift.com, where we help curate the best and most helpful Enneagram content and resources to help you thrive. And in this video, we're going to talk all about the Enneagram and each type's description. The Enneagram is a personality framework for understanding each type's behaviors, motivations, and thoughts. The system is an interconnected model illustrated by a diagram representing the 9 different distinct personality types. The tool is unique because it can help reveal the patterns associated with how each type thinks, feels, and acts. The Enneagram can serve as a clarifying lens for viewing complex aspects that are common to each personality type, along with the strengths, pitfalls, and shadow sides that are related to each type. This tool can help add insight into each person's primary motivations, fears, and desires. And understanding these aspects of your personality can help you overcome recurring patterns, empathize, and strengthen relational connections. The word Enneagram is a combination of 2 Greek words, ennea meaning 9 and gram meaning written. And the 9 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, represent 9 unique personality types. And each number is uniquely connected to a set of other numbers within the diagram because of the different fears and desires related to each type. The best way to begin using the Enneagram is to first familiarize yourself with each of the 9 types and then study deeper into each of those types by examining their core motivations, fears, and desires. Understanding the motivations of each type can help you more quickly identify which type is the most relatable to you. And then after you identify and learn more about your type, you can begin using other aspects of the Enneagram to further explore your unique traits and characteristics. Descriptions are simply a quick way for you to gain valuable insight into how each personality is unique and different. It's also worth noting that Enneagram teachers commonly assign a nickname associated with each Enneagram type that is closely related to their motivations and behaviors. As you begin your study of the Enneagram and understanding more about your personality, I want to help you break free from the stereotypes so that you can experience fulfillment, peace, and freedom. You are not captive to the characteristics and descriptions of your Enneagram type. With faith, perseverance, and work, you can experience tremendous growth. For now, let's get into each of the 9 Enneagram types and their descriptions. Enneagram 1s are known as the perfectionist and will work with laser focus to strictly adhere to an ideal principle that they believe is good. They will tirelessly work until they are content with the results. Understanding Enneagram 1s can be a little intimidating at first. At face value, this type may seem to have everything together. Under the surface, they're often brimming with unresolved expectations and desires. Enneagram 1s care deeply about quality and improving standards to accelerate purpose and goodness in the world around them. Let's talk about what it's like to live as an Enneagram 1. The Enneagram 1's motivation is to be good and virtuous, and these desires and principles can develop differently and manifest in a variety of ways. Typically, you can identify an Enneagram 1 by observing their characteristics and behaviors when they're working on a project or within their career. Their attention to detail and their ability to create structure in order to improve something is uncanny and recognizable. Their motives to improve comes from a strong desire to justify and direct their passions into something that they believe is correct and good. Enneagram 1s are a part of the gut triad and most commonly experience the emotion of anger, and their core fear is to be wrong or perceived as evil. When moving towards unhealth, a strong sense of anger can brood under the surface when their improvements seem to fall short or just aren't enough. Coupled with unresolved expectations can be frustrating and difficult to manage. And because they see this anger as an undesirable trait, this creates an additional internal turmoil within them. They are swirling with a passion for creating structure out of chaos and can also use rationale to regulate their emotions so that their work can be admired. And to uphold their strict standards, they're able to exercise self-discipline and organization to ensure everything is as good as possible. There are also some key traits that are identifiable to the Enneagram 1. As mentioned, they can be very rational, black and white in their thinking, moral, and focused on perfectionism. They also feel a deep sense of responsibility to improve themselves and the world around them. And they're not afraid to take action. However, this step is normally internally focused because of their belief that things can be better and the high expectations that they place upon themselves. The core desire of an Enneagram 1 is to have integrity, to be good, full of virtue, and correct. And the message Enneagram 1s most want to hear is that you are good. Because of these qualities, Enneagram 1s also have some tremendous strengths. They are willing to help and come to the defense of others. They have a keen eye and attention to detail. They want to pursue quality and are willing to scrutinize their work in order to produce the best possible results. They're able to see beyond the current state of how things are and picture an idealized reality of what's possible. They can also act with a great sense of motivation. Because they act from their morals and their tightly held beliefs, they're not easily swayed from external influences. They also can be very community-oriented. They're willing to engage and interact in order to bring about positive change for the good of everyone. There are also some common weaknesses that are familiar to the Enneagram 1. They can be obsessive. They can become so invested in their ideas that they are unable to experience a measure of happiness until the results that they desire are reached. They can also be very unrealistic. If reality and their ideals have stark contrast, they may develop a distorted perspective to help them cope with the differences. They can also be overly critical, leading them to focus on their flaws and those of others to an unhealthy degree. They can also become self-righteous. By becoming so entrenched in their own ideals, they may label any outside perspective as wrong or immoral without giving any chance to understand. In general, Enneagram 1s struggle with things like anger, accepting mistakes, condemning thoughts, and disagreements. However, Enneagram 1s find great joy in things like planning, organization, and supporting just causes. Enneagram 1s care deeply about quality and the pursuit of improving standards in order to accelerate purpose and goodness in the world around them. 1s are willing to lead by example because they care so much about integrity, and they're willing to stand for what they believe is right and good. They can also be very reliable and responsible people who will hold to their word and see things through to completion. They have a keen eye for detail and will hold tightly to rules, procedures, and expectations because they believe it's the right thing to do. They use their rationale to strive towards moral goodness and justice. Unfortunately, sometimes the Enneagram 1 can be misunderstood. While their mission is to help and improve for the benefit of others, they can come across as cold, calculated, or preoccupied with their own work and habits. And when unhealthy, they will overly focus on the shortcomings of others. Because by being critical of others, they don't have to face their own problems, allowing them to safeguard their own standards and what they believe is right. An unhealthy 1 will have a poor ability to focus on achieving their goals and express great measures of frustration when their expectations are unmet. However, when healthy, Enneagram 1s can hold space for competing opinions without being overly critical or harsh. They can relax knowing that they can disagree without judging or being demanding. For 1s, learning to give themselves and others grace is an essential step towards growth and health. Enneagram 2s are known as the helper and are driven by a deep sense and desire for love and the ability to be caregivers. In turn, they also hope to receive similar treatment from others. They yearn for feelings of admiration, appreciation, and acceptance. Enneagram 2s meet most people with a caring attitude and enjoy socializing, and they like to be on the giving and receiving side of relationships. Their hopes is that the nurturing that they provide to others will be reciprocal. However, they can struggle to express their need for appreciation and admiration. They can often assume that others want the same thing as them and therefore find it difficult to understand when others have different needs or desires. And while on the surface can seem lovable and even bubbly, they can often struggle with a deep sense of being unwanted, undesirable, and unworthy. And when unhealthy and feeling unsure of themselves and their relationship, they can become clingy, demanding, and attempt to control the relationship. And if they stay in this mindset for too long and lack self-awareness, they can actually become bitter and hostile. Let's talk about what it's like to live as an Enneagram 2. Type 2s approach new situations and relationships selflessly and are eager to meet the needs of those around them. They feel a strong sense of fulfillment by being able to help others and actually use this as a means of building stronger connections. By doing so, they see themselves as valuable and helpful, which aids in securing their self-image as someone that's worthwhile knowing. Enneagram 2s are in the heart triad and therefore struggle with a deep sense of shame. Their strong feelings of being unlovable, when unchecked, can drive them into unhealthy places that cause them to selflessly give of themselves, all while disregarding their own needs and wants. This need for attention can often stem from an unhealthy situation or an emotionally unfulfilling event where their need for nurturing and care as children was not able to be provided for. And when met with these circumstances, with the inability to navigate complex situations and dynamics, their level of insecurity and need for acceptance only heightens. However, when Enneagram 2s face trauma and hurt head on, they can move to deeper levels of security and become less dependent on the acceptance from others to validate their self-worth. At their best, Enneagram 2s are able to draw people in and develop relationships of mutual support. They also feed on social interaction and use this gift to enhance the relationships around them. Their good deeds often bring happiness to others and brings a deep sense of satisfaction to both sides. However, as mentioned, when lacking self-awareness, 2s will seek to validate their self-worth by how dependent others are upon them. There are some key characteristics and traits that are identifiable to an Enneagram 2. Type 2s are caring, generous, and aim to please, and are loving and giving by nature and sometimes to a fault, and often measure success according to the health of their relationships. Because of this, 2s are typically empathetic, supportive, caring, and generous. The core desire of an Enneagram 2 is to be appreciated, and the message they most want to hear is that you are lovable and desirable. Some of the main strengths of an Enneagram 2 is that they're supportive. They will encourage others around them to do what makes them happy and be supportive of their dreams and hopes. They can also be very empathetic. Due to their heightened awareness of their own emotional needs, they can often tell when others' needs are not met in this way. 2s can also be very positive. They're able to focus on the bright side of situations and be encouraging when others may be having a hard time seeing the same side. 2s can also be very persistent. They're committed to seeing their plans through and they rarely give up easily. They're also highly sociable, and because they thrive on social experiences, they can be warm, welcoming, and inviting to others. There are also some weaknesses that are common to the Enneagram 2. When unhealthy, 2s can be needy. While they can easily give out love and care to others, they can become over-dependent upon how others choose to respond to them. They can also become overbearing. Due to their social nature, sometimes they can come across as lacking boundaries or even being demanding. 2s can also struggle with self-neglect. Because they can spend so much time and energy on others, they can often become blind to their own needs and forget to prioritize their own want and care. 2s can also become easy to offend. If they are confronted with criticism or facing the possibility of being unliked, this can be very difficult and emotionally shattering for the Enneagram 2. In general, Type 2s struggle with rejection, shame, sharing expectations, and transparency. However, Type 2s find great joy in things like emotional connection, affection, helping others, and receiving affirmation. If unaware, their need for love can overconsume the Enneagram 2, leading them to place their self-worth in others and to ignore their own needs and desires. However, when healthy and developing the right attitude, they can become powerful and genuinely positive influences in the lives of others. Enneagram 2s have a huge heart and can be very open to forming meaningful relationships with a variety of people. In large social groups, 2s would rather spend time helping others than work on their own problems. And unfortunately for the 2, this pattern can significantly develop into non-reciprocal relationship. And remember, if unchecked, the Type 2's motivation to be kind can often come with ulterior motives. However, as 2s become more aware of this, they can become more selfless in their intentions and establish a healthy attitude concerning service to help nurture a safe and caring environment. Enneagram 3s are known as the achiever. They are confident, charming, and love to pursue and go after big dreams. They also like to be recognized for their accomplishments, and when healthy, they are competent and humble with great intentions. When unhealthy, they can overfixate on success at the expense of others, and even if it means compromising their own values. Enneagram 3s will work hard to achieve success in order to win the respect and admiration of others. However, when lacking awareness, they can become driven by their fear of failure and worthlessness. In these cases, they will work hard towards significant accomplishments in order to combat this fear and to project an image of success and value. 3s can be very inspiring, full of drive and energy. However, for them, they must be aware because this drive can lead to unfulfillment, unhappiness, and burnout. Let's talk about what it's like to live as an Enneagram 3. Enneagram 3s are dedicated to their goals, striving to be the best, and raising the bar in their field of interest. They're able to apply immense focus and energy towards accomplishing goals that they set for themselves. Enneagram 3s must also be careful to balance and understand that their fear of failure can sometimes drive their want and desire for high standards. They most likely learned as children or at formative stages that accomplishments were praiseworthy and admirable. For the 3, messages like these formalize the internal belief that they're only worthy if they accomplish and do big things. Enneagram 3s are a part of the heart triad and struggle with a sense of shame that often shadows their life. It's this pending shame that can often lead them to feeling worthless and lacking self-confidence. And therefore, to compensate and overcome these feelings, they will strive and drive to be the best. Every situation for them is an opportunity for success, which also makes them open to new experiences and ways of thinking. 3s will use their motivation to succeed to help them be productive and on task. At first glance, people can see 3s as highly energetic and adaptable to change. And because they're always looking to set and accomplish goals, they have a noticeable focus and work ethic. They also are typically well-dressed, have an attractive appearance, and are charismatic in personality. Some of the strengths of a Type 3 are that they are confident, charming, motivated, driven, and energetic. They often have a desire within to outwork their peers and to rise through the ranks more quickly. They're also able to draw from their own experiences and successes to help others accomplish and win too. 3s also have a capacity for social engagement because of their ability to collaborate and to network with others. They also know how to use their charisma to win over others and to be influential. 3s can also be highly efficient, solving problems quickly to make the best use of their time to be productive. Some of the weaknesses of an Enneagram 3 is that they can often self-criticize. While their high standards can help them to accomplish great things, it can also cause them to superficially focus on their image and be overly self-criticizing towards themselves. They also have a very hard time dealing with failure. Loss on any level for a 3 can be problematic and hard to recover from. 3s can also be self-neglecting and find it difficult and troubling to identify the emotions that they're feeling. When unhealthy, others can also develop a negative perception of the Enneagram 3. Sometimes their drive and competitive spirit can be seen from others as insensitive and overly focused on winning. In general, Enneagram 3s struggle with things like shame, failure, denial, and vulnerability. However, Enneagram 3s can find great joy in things like goal setting, being recognized, inspiring others, and success. Healthy 3s learn to explore their interests beyond work or the admiration that it may earn them. They can also use their drive for success to positively impact others and to help them win too. And when met with failure, they can be resilient to try again and are able to maintain a level of happiness regardless of the outcome. Healthy 3s can brim with talent and personality and can develop their inner confidence rather than rely on external accomplishments and successes. Even when motivated with good intentions, an endless pursuit of achievements without contentment can be very harmful. For the achiever, maintaining their work-life balance, health, and moral compass is key to living a happy and productive life. However, without awareness and proper guidance, their fear of failure can also become a self-fulfilling prophecy in many ways. Unhealthy 3s can become ruthless in competition and develop an overriding sense of pride in their accomplishments. Focusing solely on advancements, they can look over basic relational and social skills like complimenting others and staying true to ethics. Unhealthy 3s will tirelessly work with no regard for themselves or others, all while spiraling downward in denial and shame. They can often feel empty, especially if lacking the desire and drive that they once had. And no matter how much success they may experience, love and empathy become glaring holes in their psyche. However, 3s can move towards health by valuing their relationships and prioritizing things like rest and recovery in order to avoid burnout. They're also happy to help others and to try out new things. They can be happy with the rewards of their hard work and can be open to feedback and to constructive criticism without being overly sensitive. They're also able to resist temptation for faster advancement and to abstain from addictive behaviors. Enneagram 4s are known as the individualist or sometimes as the romantic, and they are a creative, sensitive, and idealistic type. 4s feel a strong sense of identity and a deep desire for meaning and authenticity. Type 4s loathe the idea of being ordinary or insignificant and often make decisions that are focused on self-expression and uniqueness. Now let's talk about what it's like to live as an Enneagram 4. 4s often feel obscure and misunderstood by others. They're also expressive and highly attuned to their feelings and to the environment around them. They're often very creative, self-aware, sensitive, and unconventional in their approach to life. Unlike most people, they're not afraid to go against the grain and are not afraid to try new things. Their quest for distinction and authenticity are core to their being, but they often wrestle with feeling unseen for who they are and feel disconnected from others. Enneagram 4s are a part of the heart triad and therefore also wrestle with deep feelings of shame. They feel different from others and unseen by those that they long to connect with. The core desire of an Enneagram 4 is to be authentic and to live a life of meaning. And their core fear is to live a life that would be common or considered ordinary. Conformity is repulsive to a type 4. Because they long for a meaningful life, it's also common for a 4 to champion the goals and dreams of others because they can so closely connect and relate to those desires. 4s can also appreciate aesthetics and things like decor, fashion, art, and are not afraid to express their opinion concerning those things. And because of their distinct tastes, they're less likely to adapt and to adopt to things just because they are trending. They believe conformity mutes their unique expression and preferences. Some of the positive traits of an Enneagram 4 is that they're unique, sensitive to others, creative, empathetic, courageous, and inspiring. While creativity and emotional intensity can primarily define Enneagram 4s, this type is not limited by these characteristics. They can also be compassionate, idealistic, and thoughtful. When you think about it, these traits go hand in hand with things like creativity and being sensitive, and can naturally lend themselves to being thoughtful. For example, a 4 will not necessarily just buy the most expensive and popular gift for a friend or loved one. They may be more likely to find something unique or to even make something themselves because it has such a deep sense of purpose, meaning, and thoughtfulness behind it. In general, Enneagram Type 4s can struggle with overwhelming emotion, shame, dependency, overreacting, and loneliness. However, 4s can find great joy in things like aesthetics, creative outlets, expressing ideas, and authenticity. A healthy 4 can be expressive, artistic, and capable of connecting deeply with those around them. Their work becomes not only a meaningful expression of themselves, but also a way to help and to serve those around them. A healthy 4 has also developed practices for bolstering and upholding a healthy sense of self-worth and value. 4s can be especially sensitive because of their intense focus on things like identity and self-worth. 4s long for purpose, to have rich emotional lives, and to connect deeply with their dreams and desires. And the inability to connect with others in a profound emotional way can often leave that 4 feeling disconnected and unheard. However, 4s can make a meaningful impact on the world by participating in work that allows them to use their creativity to express new ideas, explore new concepts, and challenge others towards change. Because of their strong preference toward creative outlets, 4s can often challenge and lead others to thinking out of the box. They can also inspire others to pursue their dreams and encourage their friends to believe in what's possible. However, when unhealthy, Enneagram 4s can become plagued by things like low self-esteem and excessive self-criticism. An unhealthy 4 will become unproductive and lose interest in their usual creative outlets and work. They'll get lost in their head and seemingly fall short of the idealized image that they had created in their head. Focusing on things like productivity, service of others, self-discipline, and positivity are essential to a 4 because these things can help reinforce their need for meaning and purpose. While the individualist prizes their uniqueness, they also must keep in check that relationships can also help them achieve their goal of being seen and heard. If there's a disconnect with others, it can often lead to melancholy and heartache. Healthy 4s can use their creativity, self-understanding, and expression to help others know that they have a unique place in the world and that they are seen and valued too. Enneagram 5s are known as the observer, and they have an innate desire to understand ideas and concepts. They'll prioritize things like curiosity, independence, knowledge, and being self-reliant. Enneagram 5s fear being helpless, and their primary desire is to be competent and self-sufficient. Now let's talk about what it's like to live as an Enneagram 5. Type 5s are one of the more rare Enneagram types, along with Type 8s and Type 4s. But in this video, I'm going to share some of the common characteristics and traits that are associated with Enneagram Type 5s. In service to their desire to be competent and capable, Enneagram 5s will pursue knowledge and to understand as much as they can about the world around them. They will retreat into their minds, developing complex ideas and thoughts, and can spend large amounts of time alone developing skills in areas that they're interested in. For the most part, Enneagram 5s are private, yet they have a very active mind. They are observant and like to understand how the world works, which often leads them to being very knowledgeable in specific and niche areas. They can also be intense, perceptive, innovative, and at times secretive. Enneagram 5s are situated within the thinking triad and therefore process their emotions through their thoughts. It's also common for them to be curious about a variety of subjects and topics that they will devote their time to understanding and developing skills around. Their hunger for understanding and to be capable often drives them to developing skills that are necessary and associated with the things that they're interested in. As mentioned, 5s can be very perceptive. 5s can offer objective, insightful, and in-depth observations concerning situations and information. They can also hold space for complex ideas and thoughts in an attempt to be accurate more than anything else. 5s can also be unsentimental. Because 5s tend to prioritize their autonomy and privacy, they prefer to ask little of others and can often minimize their own wants and needs. 5s can also be very inventive. Their unconventional ideas, paired with in-depth knowledge around areas that they understand, can help them to be innovative, visionaries, and pioneers. There are also some further signs that are common to Enneagram 5s. They have an active mind. Conversations that are mentally stimulating to them are attractive, and they prefer to dive deeper into subjects rather than focus on small talk or in subjects that they care little about. They are also a very curious type. They seek to understand the world around them and can become deeply involved in understanding things that they currently do not. They can also become obsessed in matters and interests that others seem to care very little about. It is also common for a 5 to be an introvert. Generally, 5s are the most introverted of all the Enneagram types. Being alone doesn't bother them, and they often do not require large amounts of social interaction and activity. However, they must be careful to not dive too deeply into isolation and always to keep that in check and in balance. They also find it challenging to talk about their feelings, so resolving issues can be difficult if they're lacking awareness in those types of skills. This doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want to resolve the issues. Their friends and those in relationship with them may need to exercise a little bit more patience in order to help them connect their emotions to their thoughts. Doing so will help a 5 to feel safe in sharing their feelings and also help to create a stronger bond and connection with those who are willing to listen. In general, type 5 struggle with things like fear, isolation, intimacy, vulnerability, and sharing their emotions. However, they find joy in things like innovation, alone time, sharing insights, and developing new skills. A healthy 5 is open-minded, can communicate their broad ideas effectively and efficiently, and can act with incredible foresight and perception. They are also receptive to the world around them and connected to a close group of friends. While they'll always be hungry for understanding and knowledge, they're careful to not allow this trait to overwhelmingly interfere with their relationships and work that is meaningful to them. They can communicate the necessary steps for taking action and solving complex problems. Their perceptive qualities help them to offer objective and insightful observations to help others make better decisions and to explore important ideas and concepts. An Enneagram 5 in stress will exhibit the low side of an Enneagram 7. This can lead them to becoming obsessive around radical ideas and also attempt to force their ideas and beliefs on others. They can also become scattered in thought and unproductive. However, a healthy 5 will use their observational skills to serve and stay connected with others. They're also more willing and likely to share from a place of servanthood rather than superiority. An Enneagram 5's interest in intellectual ideas help them to explore and build interest in a variety of topics, interests, and niches. An Enneagram 5's diverse interests can help them to be a more rounded individual that's able to serve others in a variety of capacities and ways. The Enneagram 6 is known as the loyalist, and their key motivation is to have safety and to have support from others. Their biggest fear is feeling unprepared and lacking guidance, and often this type will remain very close to a trusted group of friends. An Enneagram 6 can be a very loving and kind person who remains very committed to their group of friends and will stay dedicated to deeply held beliefs, ideas, and systems. When they believe in something, they will hold to it wholeheartedly. However, they also wrestle with needing to come to those conclusions and will therefore seek out guidance and support to help them formulate their ideas and beliefs. They can also struggle to be in tune with their thoughts because they can be self-conscious and very concerned about what others may be thinking. They also want to create an image that they have everything together. And to do this, they will create relationship and connection with authority figures in order to feel more secure and credible as they make decisions. They usually struggle with trusting the idea that they can rely on their own thoughts, ideas, and intuition. So this is what leads them to seeking guidance from authority figures, trusted sources, and close friends. Enneagram 6s are incredibly organized, thoughtful, hardworking, and kind, despite some of the inner fears that they wrestle with. They try their best to be prepared for any situation, which can lead them to thinking meticulously about possible scenarios, situations, and outcomes. They will also go to great lengths to remain loyal to their friends, to their ideas, and to their word. 6s make some of the greatest friends because they care so deeply about their relationships. Next, let's talk about some of the recognizable key traits of the Enneagram 6. The emotions of the Enneagram 6 rest in the thinking center, or in other words, the head triad, which means they process their emotions through their thoughts. They're also very analytical and tremendous problem solvers. Enneagram 6s are also very devoted people. They're committed to what they value and express care for the responsibility, the service of others, and maintaining their word. An Enneagram 6 can also be very courageous. When necessary, they will take a stand for the greater good despite even some of their concerns, fears, and risks. They also lean heavily into preparedness. 6s pay attention to what is going on in their world and will act to minimize risks and threats as they practice being alert and very risk aware. An Enneagram 6 can also quickly earn trustworthiness. Once they make a decision or a commitment, they stick to it. They will also respect rules and authority as long as they trust the source and the intentions. 6s are also very team oriented. They enjoy cooperation and collaboration within a group and will absolutely thrive in a healthy team environment. There are even some additional further signs of an Enneagram 6. They can find commonality with others quickly. They'll create strong attachments with those they trust. At first, they can be very skeptical in new environments or when getting to know new people. They try to prepare for the worst case scenarios. They also consider themselves to be a private person at times. And they feel their best when their relationships, their work, and their home feel safe and secure. In general, Enneagram 6s struggle with things like anxiousness, suspicion, codependency, decision-making, and over-planning. And they find great joy in being prepared, teamwork, close friends, and structure. The loyalist, or the Type 6, is known for their practicality and their deep sense of loyalty. They like to build safe and secure systems and structures of support for themselves and those around them to help make their life and their environment a more stable and secure experience. At their very best, an Enneagram 6 is known to be very trusting of others and of themselves. And rather than being divisive, they see their friends and cohorts as equals. They make tremendous teammates and coworkers because they devote themselves to the team and to the common goal. Their dedication is one of the qualities that can make them tremendous employees. An Enneagram 6 will feel the most stress when they feel that security and guidance are lacking. And as these insecurities begin to bubble up, they can begin to feel inferior. This inadequacy and fear begins to make them feel anxious and panicked. In times of stress, they can also become cliquey, labeling people as either friends or enemies. In deep places of stress, they'll make decisions solely based out of fear. And as they feel that they must prepare for the worst, in some sense, this can actually begin to create self-fulfilling prophecies in their lives. Although 6s are known for their commitment and at times their dependency upon others, they can live, work, and be highly productive in healthy, safe environments. And even with a healthy sense of independence, they still enjoy collaboratively working with others. Enneagram 6s have tremendous collaborative and team-building characteristics and make tremendous friends, employees, and teammates. Enneagram 6s can be tremendous assets to their relationships, communities, and places of work. Enneagram 7s, known as the visionary or enthusiastic visionary, like to make sure that their options are open, explore opportunities, and live a life of adventure. They have a strong desire to explore the world around them and thrive on spontaneity. They want to live with a sense of freedom and to experience all that it has to offer. However, sometimes the problem with this is they can often go to extremes, which can sometimes put them in difficult and perplexing situations. Enneagram 7s are a part of the head triad because of their active mind, and they are constantly thinking and trying to figure things out. This can often lead them into fearful thinking and anxious thoughts. They're always curious to explore and wanting to discover what's right around the corner. This aspiration can be a fantastic quality, however, it can also result in negative drawbacks as it surfaces at times through escapism or a failure to commit. Sevens do not like the idea of limitations, and in cases where someone may disagree with them or have a different opinion, they will sometimes seek out viewpoints until they find one that agrees with what they want. Enneagram 7s prefer to look for the silver lining in almost everything. This type is characterized by their zest for life and can struggle with avoiding negative emotions or difficult feelings. Now let's look at some key traits of an Enneagram 7. Energetic, spontaneous, optimistic, and popular. Because they want to enjoy the world around them, they are often magnetic, and others find it fun to be around them. Motivated by their desire to fulfill their wants and their pleasures, they will exhaust all of the opportunities and possibilities to ensure that they accomplish exactly what they want. Sevens can experience a deep sense of FOMO and also fear having to face difficult or painful situations. Their core motivation is to be happy, open to possibility, and without restraints. And their core fear is to feel painful emotion, limitations, or to miss out. Sevens can be great at channeling their energy into productivity and success. However, they must also be aware at times they can lack discipline and fall into being impulsive when making decisions. Some of the greatest strengths of an Enneagram 7 is that they can be adaptable, creative, enthusiastic, goal-oriented, outgoing, spontaneous, and in group environments, a team player. There are also some weaknesses that are common to the Enneagram Type 7. They can be impulsive or careless, become bored very easily, deal with anxiety because of their constant running thoughts and ideas, focusing on the past or the future, but struggling to remain in the present moment. They can also have a hard time saying no, struggle to enjoy life for what it is because they're always looking for the next big thing around the corner, and can also easily overlook the small details. In general, sevens can struggle with things like escapism, trusting others, staying present, staying on task, resentment, black and white thinking, and wanting to remain in control. Type 7s find joy in things like new experiences, casting vision, starting new ventures, and experiencing freedom. A healthy Enneagram 7 is someone that can stay present in the moment and provide others with well-deserving attention. They know that their world is not going to end if they miss out on something, and can experience peace of mind even when they're not the ones in control. An Enneagram 7 in growth will exhibit the healthy characteristics of an Enneagram Type 5. They feel more comfortable being alone, experiencing silence, and being more contemplative about life. Sevens are naturally full of energy and enjoy experiencing all that life has to offer. However, when lacking self-awareness, sevens can lack restraint and the ability to forecast outcomes based on their decision-making in the present. When sevens are in stress, they will exhibit the unhealthy side of a Type 1. This will lead them to becoming critical, judgmental, and black and white in their thinking. When a 7 is unhealthy, they find it difficult to be content, which can lead them to going to great lengths to experience euphoria, a sense of freedom, and control. 7s see the world as a place of endless possibilities and can believe in their potential to experience all that it has to offer. This yearning can be both a blessing and a curse for Type 7s because although they see the world with positivity and possibility, the constant change and chasing after new ideas can cause relational strain with others. Enneagram 7s are tremendous people full of life, energy, and passion, and more than likely, you recognize and are aware when you meet one. The Enneagram Type 8 is known as the challenger or the protector. They are assertive, decisive, and unafraid of confrontation. They are protective by nature and seek to engage in meaningful work, and are often willing to take charge of situations if they feel necessary. An Enneagram 8 fears being controlled or harmed by others, and their greatest desire is to have independence and to remain in control. Let's talk about what it's like to be an Enneagram 8. Life for an Enneagram 8 is often full of motivation and potential leadership opportunity. 8s like to be in charge of their surroundings and will fiercely defend their opinions and beliefs. Because in most cases they are naturally bold and confident, they're not afraid to stand up for what they believe. They can also thrive in positions of power, especially when defending matters of justice. Like I said, Enneagram 8s are comfortable when in control. However, if confrontation escalates, it can be easy for an 8 to lose their temper and revert to places of anger, especially if there's seemingly no regard for their thoughts, opinions, or wants. They're also very comfortable expressing their opinions even when it seems that others may not be receptive or ready or willing to hear them. Anger is a strong emotion for Enneagram 8s because they are a part of the gut triad. If you're unfamiliar about the triads, I'll post a video in the card above to help you learn more about them. While 8s can use their intensity and even their anger to drive and to propel themselves forward, for those on the receiving end, it can be a challenging trait to deal with and to be receptive towards. 8s also want others to view them as strong, so they will work hard to resist vulnerability, dominate their surroundings, and remain in control of their lives. There are also key traits that are recognizable of an Enneagram 8. The primary core fear of an Enneagram 8 is to be powerless and to be in positions or places that require vulnerability and openness. They also want to know that they are admired and that their opinions are valuable. Because of their core fear and their core desire, Enneagram 8s are motivated to prove their strength and to remain self-reliant. Some of the primary strengths of an Enneagram 8 is that they are strong-willed. They know what they believe and they will guard it, protect it, and fight for it when needed. 8s are able to take the heat and to withstand criticism. They're also very outgoing. They prefer to be in social roles where they can exercise their influence. They also like to be looked up to and regarded as significant, so it's very common for an Enneagram 8 to have a lot of friends and acquaintances. Type 8s are also very decisive. Knowing what they want comes intuitively and they can easily make decisions quickly. After a decision is made, it is hard for them to veer from it and they will stick to it to the end. They don't like to tirelessly overthink, bouncing back and forth wondering if they made the right decision or not. They have strong instincts and rarely hesitate to act upon them. Type 8s can also be very influential. They can seem stubborn and challenging to engage in conversation, but this is because when they believe in something deeply, they will drive towards it with excellence and vigor. There are also some weaknesses that are common to an Enneagram 8. 8s tend to struggle with anger. They're susceptible to having strong tempers that can be damaging to relationships that they care much about. They also can be very guarded. If trust is broken with an 8, even in seemingly small ways, they will quickly hide and guard their emotions, becoming secretive and closed off to those that have hurt them. 8s can also struggle with wanting to control outcomes, scenarios, and situations. An unhealthy 8 can also be narrow-minded. They can have a hard time seeing someone else's perspective and validating their concerns. In general, Type 8s struggle with anger, affection, avoidance, retreating, and being controlling. However, they find great joy in leading, making decisions, serving others, and being hospitable. Enneagram 8s are one of the rarest of all the types. They're motivated by their basic desire to remain in control, to fight for justice, and to protect their beliefs and those they care about. They are bold, decisive, and willing to take risks, and embody the qualities and characteristics of some of the world's greatest leaders. When healthy, an Enneagram 8 is sacrificial, humble, and willing to be vulnerable, rather than hiding their interior world in an attempt to avoid appearing weak. A healthy 8 will abandon their tough persona and allow others to help them process their feelings and emotions as they practice being more vulnerable and open with them. An unhealthy 8 can be egocentric and domineering over others, especially if they feel that they cannot exercise power or control over others or the environment that they're in. When this happens, they can develop strong tempers, lash out in anger, and struggle to be vulnerable in any way. Healthy 8s will lean into their ability to take charge, while also carefully measuring their energy and resources so that they can genuinely devote themselves to a strong course of action. They're able to say no without regret and willing to step aside to let others lead and make decisions when it's best for the group. Enneagram 9s, known as the peacemaker, are harmonious, gentle, and pleasant by nature. Individuals with this personality type will attempt to solve relational problems and avoid conflict, sometimes even at their own cost. Enneagram 9s will adapt to people and situations the best that they can in order to keep peace. When they're at their best, they can make influential diplomats. However, when lacking self-awareness, they can become passive, allowing life to slowly slip by. Enneagram 9s desire connection with others, but will often neglect assertiveness to get what they want or to communicate what they need. Let's talk about what it's like to live as an Enneagram 9. At their core, Enneagram 9s dislike relational turbulence or disruption. Witnessing others argue or confronting one another can cause them great anxiety and discomfort. And for these reasons, they have the nickname the peacemaker. They worry that if they create conflict with others, that it can result in a loss of relationship, and therefore will become adaptive or avoid the problem altogether in order to prevent that from happening. The problem with this behavior for a 9, though, is that it can often lead them to making considerable compromises, even when it's the exact opposite of what they want. A 9 who is more self-aware and secure will attempt to find solutions that work for them and for others involved. Although some 9s are so adverse to conflict, they will do whatever it takes to avoid it. And if someone hurts them, they may ignore it or find ways around it without ever admitting or addressing the problem. Next, let's talk about some key traits of those that are an Enneagram 9. 9s will tend to stay in environments and social settings that help make them feel secure and comfortable with themselves. Although they may be more likely to explore and to grow if they're surrounded by supporting friends that they've known a long time. The reason being is that unfamiliar territory for an Enneagram 9 can cause them to repress in order to maintain emotional safety. The core desire of an Enneagram 9 is peace, and the message that they most want to hear is that you matter too. Enneagram 9s are dynamic and supportive people with a variety of gifts and strengths. 9s are full of empathy. 9s are concerned with the needs of others and are sensitive to their viewpoints, taking them into account when they need to make decisions. Enneagram 9s are also very calming. A healthy 9 will not panic when situations change, and they'll also take time to assess their options when necessary. They're also very supportive. 9s will be one of the first to come to the rescue and to make sure that those they care about are okay. They can also be tremendous mediators. When there's a disagreement, 9s can help form the middle ground, and they will work hard to find solutions that are acceptable to both disagreeing sides. 9s can also be very open-minded. They're slow to judge others, and they're willing to forgive when necessary. This makes them great at enduring complex relationships and can see the potential and hope even in the midst of difficult and dark situations. There are also some weaknesses that are common to an Enneagram Type 9. Enneagram 9s can be very passive, unwilling to fight for what they want and to speak up for what they know that they should be communicating. They can also be very dismissive of troubling things that are really bothering them. When under stress, it can seem more straightforward to live or ignore complex problems that are causing turmoil in their lives. When unhealthy, 9s can become passive-aggressive. They're aware of their avoidance of problems, and therefore this causes an inner turmoil within them, which leads to frustration, which slowly begins to build and bubble within them, that eventually spills out onto others in the form of passive-aggressiveness, rather than being direct and communicating what they know they should be. Enneagram 9s struggle with things like procrastination, anger, independence, and decision making. However, when healthy, they find great joy in things like stability, sharing insight, comfortable settings, and mediating conflicts. Type 9s, known as the peacemaker, are motivated by their desire for harmony and peace, and are known for their soothing presence, which makes them ideal mediators. Because of their calming nature and passion for harmony and peace, 9s can tend to gravitate toward careers in counseling, social work, diplomacy, and community work, and can often make it their life's purpose to help others. Healthy 9s are emotionally stable, optimistic, trusting, and excellent at bringing people together. When healthy, their inner harmony naturally draws others towards their peaceful disposition, helping to resolve conflict and mediate difficult situations. An unhealthy 9 will avoid difficult situations at all costs and repress their true desires and feelings. This habit is connected to their basic fear of neglect and losing connection with others. Enneagram Type 9s can make tremendous steps forward in their personal growth journey by practicing being more assertive to communicate what they need, sharing with others what they want, and trusting that if they do so, that the relationships that they care most about will not be hindered or harmed as a result of them doing so. Hey, if you're still unsure of your type, be sure to grab the free guide in the description for 4 free ways to help you further explore your Enneagram type, even without taking a test. And let me know in the comments which type you most closely identify with. Hey, this is Evan from EnneagramGift.com. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.